So today we're going to be able to, we're going to go from a function to a table and then to a graph and vice versa. All right, so first things first is we're going to complete the table for each function and then graph it. The first step is really going to be like doing substitution. So everywhere I see an x, I'm going to substitute in a -2. Then I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to substitute in a 0. And then I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to substitute a 2. Everywhere I see an x. And that's going to give me my y values. All right, and I don't know what these y values are yet, but I will here in a little bit. So let's go ahead and start with -2, right? I'm going to have y equals 3. Everywhere I see an x, I like to put parentheses, and then I'm going to plug in my -2. Then we're just going to simplify, right? Or solve rather. So 3 times PEMDAS, 3 times -2 is going to give me -6 minus 3, and -6 minus 3 is just going to give me -9. So my first point, or my first y value will be -9. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and do this again. I'm trying to keep the rule up at the top here. So we'll have y equals, a 3. Remember, parentheses where I see my x, and I'm going to go ahead and plug in my 0. Well, order of operations says to multiply first, so 3 times 0 is just 0, and then bring down what you didn't use, which is our -3, and 0 minus 3 is just going to be -3. So my second y value is -3. All right, and we do it one more time. For every x value, we have to do this. So we have 3, remember, parentheses where we see our x, and go ahead and plug in our x value, which is 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Bring down what we didn't use. 6 minus 3 is just 3. And right away, you can tell that our y value is +3. All right, usually I don't erase, but since this is like 2 steps, I really want to be able to show you each step as its own. As we know from tables, like I told you guys last week, graphing points was going to be a big deal here. So our first point is -2, -9. So I start at the origin. I come over 1, 2, wait for my elevator, and then I go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And this is my first point. All right, that's going to be my first point. I'll erase my work. My second point, I have x is 0, y is -3. Well, if my x is 0, I did not go left or right. This is where you guys, make your most common mistakes. All right, I'm not going to go left or right. It's 0, so I don't move. I just have to wait for my elevator, and I go down 1, 2, and 3. And this is my next point, 0, 3. And my last point, 2, 3. Remember, I started my origin, and I go over 1, 2. Here I'm chilling, waiting for my elevator, and I go up 1, 2, and 3. And that's my point, 2, 3. Now we'll give you guys a hint here. If you go from through, you should be able to draw a straight line through all of your points. If for some reason you cannot draw a straight line through your points, then your table, somewhere there's a mistake. Okay? All right. Let's go to another one. I'll do this by hand as well. Remember, we're looking for our coordinate pairs or our coordinate points. And when we do this, we're just going to be substituting in everywhere there's an x, or everywhere there's an x, we're going to be substituting in -3. Then everywhere there's an x, we're going to be substituting in 0. Then everywhere there's an x, we're going to be substituting in a +3. All right, so let's start with our first one, our red group. We'll have y equals, remember I like to put parentheses, everywhere there's an x. I'm going to go ahead and put in my -3. Well, -3 divided by 3 is going to be a -1. And then bring down what we didn't use. And -1 minus -2 is just going to be -3. All right, if we go to our second point, again, I'm erasing because you guys can watch this and pause. right? So I have y equals, put a parenthesis for my x, over 3 minus 2, put in a 0. Well, I know that 0 divided by anything is just going to be 0. And you can always test this out in Desmos as well. And if I have y equals 0 minus 2, I just have a negative 2. All right, and last but not least, we're going to talk about the blue point. Again, with my parenthesis, and then use everything else that the rule or equation or formula gives you. I'll put in a 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. And we know that 1 minus 2 is just negative 1. And now we have all of our points. All right, so let me get rid of all this extra stuff here. And we just want to focus on our table. Oh, my first point is negative 3. We said we start at the origin, go to the left 1, 2, and 3. I'm chilling here at negative 3 on the x-axis. And then I know my y is negative, so I'm going to come down 1, 2, and 3. And that's just going to be my point. Do the green one, x is 0, so you guys know we don't go left or right. We're just going to go down 1, 2, because our y was negative 2. And our third and final point is 3. So we start at the origin, come over 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to go down 1. Be careful when you guys are reading these graphs. Some of you think like this might be your x-axis because of like, I guess, where the numbers are. I'm not quite sure. This is your y. So you really want to look at the graph and just use some of that critical thinking we talk about. All right, and you can see that I can draw a straight line through all of my points. All right, as long as you can do that, chances are you are correct. All right, let's do one more. Yeah, let's just do one more. And I'm going to show you, let's go. Friendos. I'm going to show you guys how to do this with Desmos. I should have had this open, but I didn't. This is where you guys can fast forward. All right, so don't need this graph yet. So like substitution, we type in our rule, y equals 4x plus 5. Hit enter, x equals. And just test out all of your values, right? We're just going to test out -1 first. So type in a -1 for x, and you'll see that I get a +1. That's my y value. All right, next I need to test this 0. And when I put in a 0, you'll see that I get 5 for y, right? Because what we're doing when we use Desmos like this is what I was just doing a couple of seconds ago by hand. All right, and last but not least, we're going to try a +1. And here you'll see that we get 9. All right, and all we have to do is plot these points. Now I'm going to lose a little bit of the color here, kind of go old school with just black here for plotting these points. But I know I'm going to start at the origin, and I'm going to come to the left once because my x is -1. And then I'm going to go up 1 because my y was 1. So now I have checked off this point and just plotted. My x is 0. I start at the origin. I do not go left or right, but I am going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And my second point is plotted. And lastly, my third point, I come over once from the origin, right? I start at the origin. I come to the right once because my x is positive. And I'm going to go up 9. All right, and if I wanted to double check this, I can draw a straight point through all three of, I can draw a straight line, sorry, through all 3 of my points. Therefore, I know the chances are that I am correct. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. If you've made it this far in the video, I want you guys to really look at this info, this data right here, and you'll start to notice a pattern. All right, if you go back through the video, if you look at all of the 3 that we've done, there's definitely going to be a pattern with these points, and we'll talk a little bit more of that later. But maybe you guys do a little self-discovery on your own. Other than that, have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys tomorrow.